We're diving into the shocking rumors surrounding King Combs and his encounter with none other than 50 Cent. Word on the street is that King made a bold move by picking a fight with the rap mogul. But as we all know, 50 Cent doesn't back down from any challenge. With a history of feuds with the likes of Ja Rule, Suge Knight, and even his own father Diddy, it seems 50 might have already put King in his place. Join us as we unravel the mystery behind King's sudden disappearance and the potential fallout from this dangerous game. Stay tuned. The clash between King Combs and 50 Cent, a dangerous game. In the world of hip-hop, it's often said that the game comes with its own set of unspoken rules. Among these, one of the most important is this: never come for 50 Cent. When King Combs, son of mogul and rap legend Diddy, dropped his diss track, Pick a Side, targeting none other than the infamous 50 Cent, it wasn't just a harmless jab, it was a declaration of war. King may have been trying to defend his family name and stand up for his father, but by aiming his barbs at 50, he may have stepped into a battle that could have serious consequences. Backstory: Diddy and 50 Cent's long-running feud. Before we dive into the clash between King Combs and 50 Cent, it's important to understand the context of the animosity that's been simmering between 50 Cent and Diddy for years. This isn't just some trivial celebrity beef, it's a deeply rooted rivalry that goes back to the early 2000s. 50 Cent and Diddy have never exactly been friends, and their rivalry has only intensified over time. While they're both at the top of the rap game in their respective eras, they have always been on opposite sides of the battle for dominance in the hip-hop world. The two men have traded shots in the media for years, and their beef has even spilled over into personal attacks. The tension between 50 Cent and Diddy intensified after 50's rise to fame, particularly after he signed to Eminem's label, Shady Records. At the time, 50 was on top of the rap game, and Diddy, with his Bad Boy Records empire, wasn't happy to see a new, ruthless mogul stepping into his territory. Over time, the beef turned personal, with 50 mocking Diddy's public persona and his business practices, often making fun of Diddy's perceived softness and accusing him of being a puppet master who controlled people behind the scenes. In particular, 50's dislike for Diddy was exacerbated by the long-running rumors of shady business dealings within the industry. Rumors that 50's has never been shy to poke fun at. From questioning Diddy's alleged ties to other controversial figures in the music industry, to mocking his relationships and personal choices, 50 has never passed up an opportunity to take shots at the mogul. But while this beef had been simmering for years, it was never fully brought into the open until King Combs, Diddy's own son, decided to step into the ring. King Combs, the new face of the Combs dynasty. King Combs, born Christian Combs, is the eldest son of Sean Diddy Combs and his former girlfriend, Kim Porter. As the heir to the Combs empire, King has always been in the public eye, but he's now trying to carve his own path in the music industry. Unlike his father, who built his empire through a combination of entrepreneurial ventures and his groundbreaking work in hip-hop, King is pursuing a career as a rapper and artist in his own right. King's foray into the rap world hasn't been without its hurdles, but he's certainly no stranger to the spotlight. With Diddy's backing and the pressure of being a member of the iconic Combs family, King has faced both praise and criticism for his musical efforts. He's had some early successes, but his career has been largely overshadowed by his father's towering legacy. However, when King released his track, Pick a Side, everything changed. In the song, King threw a series of jabs at 50 Cent, making it clear that he was standing up for his father. In the track, he referenced 50's legendary song, Many Men, which was a bold and risky move, considering the history between 50 and Diddy. Pop's been hated on by many men, and that's fine. They gonna try to stop these MFs, and they gonna die trying, King rapped, clearly channeling the kind of tough persona that's associated with street rap. At first glance, the line might seem like a typical rap lyric, bravado meant to hype up his listeners and stake a claim in the hip-hop world. But anyone familiar with 50 Cent's history knows that these kinds of words carry weight. 50 has built an entire empire on the back of his reputation for toughness and his unapologetic persona. So, when King Combs called out 50, it wasn't just another diss track, it was an open challenge that drew the attention of one of hip-hop's most feared figures. 50 Cent's response: a masterclass in trolling. The thing about 50 Cent is that he doesn't take disrespect lightly. If you come for him, be prepared for a response. Because when 50 gets involved, the gloves come off. True to form, 50 wasted no time in addressing King's diss track in his signature trolling style. Shortly after the release of King's song, 50 took to social media to address the situation. The internet erupted when 50 posted a picture of Diddy and King Combs on stage together, with a sarcastic caption that mocked King's attempt to diss him. "I feel so threatened by the things Christian is saying on his record," 50 wrote in the post. "I'm afraid for my life. Please don't hurt me, guys. I never mentioned or posted anything about Puffy's kids because Keefe D said he unalived Tupac. LOL." This post was classic 50 Cent, mocking, taunting, and turning King's attempt at toughness into an opportunity for his own amusement. But 50 didn't stop there. He continued to fuel the fire by posting additional clips from King's song and mocking one of the more risque lines where King referenced sucking his wood. 50, always ready to strike back, wrote, "Damn Christian Combs, is that what you told Grace O. Marcoy on that boat? Gave her the Puffy juice with that special sauce in it? Lol, boy, oh boy, bad boy for life." The trolling didn't stop there. As the situation escalated, 50 took aim at a particular line in King's song where he implied that there might be some dark secrets related to Diddy's behavior, secrets that could potentially be exposed. 50, ever the opportunist, didn't let this go unnoticed. In his usual sarcastic tone, he posted, "Now why would you say something like this when you know the feds are investigating? Is you stupid? Or is you dumb? LOL, chill." King Combs, in over his head? As 50 continued to unleash his trolling attacks, the reality of King's situation began to sink in. This wasn't just a beef between two artists. This was an open confrontation with one of the most battle-tested figures in hip-hop. 50 Cent is no stranger to beefs, and he's been involved in some of the most infamous rap feuds in history. From his infamous beef with Ja Rule to his ongoing rivalry with Suge Knight, 50 has proven time and again that he's willing to go to great lengths to defend his name and his reputation. King Combs, on the other hand, has not yet faced the kind of scrutiny that comes with engaging in a battle with someone like 50 Cent. While King may have thought he was simply standing up for his father, he may have underestimated just how ruthless 50 is when it comes to protecting his own image. In many ways, King's response to 50 Cent is symbolic of the gap between the street credibility that 50 carries and the relatively privileged background that King Combs comes from. While 50 Cent grew up in South Jamaica, Queens, surrounded by poverty, violence, and street life, King has been shielded from those harsh realities. 50 doesn't just talk about the streets, he's lived them. He's seen firsthand what it means to fight for survival, and he's come out the other side hardened by his experiences. In contrast, King's upbringing has been a far cry from the struggles that shaped 50 Cent. He's grown up as the son of a wealthy and influential mogul, and while he may have some street cred through his father's legacy, the fallout, Is King ready for this? So what happens now? As the situation escalates and 50 continues to respond with his usual brand of ruthless trolling, the question remains, is King Combs ready for the fallout? 50 Cent has made it clear that he doesn't take disrespect lightly, and his responses to King's diss track have been calculated and merciless. At this point, King has gone relatively quiet. While 50 continues to post jabs and memes about the situation, King has yet to respond directly. Some might say that he's learned a valuable lesson about the dangerous game of hip-hop beefs, while others might believe that King is simply biding his time, preparing his next move. One thing is certain, this feud between King Combs and 50 Cent is far from over. Whether King Combs can handle the pressure and step up to 50 Cent's challenge remains to be seen. But what's clear is that he's in way over his head. 50 Cent is a proven survivor in the world of hip-hop, and anyone who dares to challenge him should be prepared for the inevitable consequences. The world of hip-hop is never short of drama, and this latest chapter between King Combs and 50 Cent is proof that sometimes it's better to leave certain battles alone, especially when you're dealing with a street legend like 50 Cent. The question now is, will King Combs learn from this experience, or will he continue to test the limits of a man who has already survived the worst life has to offer? Only time will tell. Rise of 50 Cent, a hustler's legacy. Curtis James Jackson, better known to the world as 50 Cent, didn't rise to fame by accident. His story is one of survival, resilience, and the harsh realities of street life. Born in the heart of South Jamaica, Queens, New York, 50 Cent was immersed in the struggles of inner-city life from an early age. His mother, Sabrina Jackson, was a drug dealer, and Curtis learned about the dangers of the street at a young age. Sabrina's tragic death in a fire when Curtis was just 8 years old left him without a maternal figure and forced him to face the world on his own. His father, whom he rarely saw, was absent in his life, leaving Curtis to rely on his grandparents for support. In an environment where survival was a constant battle, 50 Cent embraced the streets early. He quickly became aware of the unspoken rules that governed his neighborhood, and from the age of 12, he was already dealing drugs. As he grew older, he found himself surrounded by violence, gangs, and criminal activity. But unlike many of his peers, Curtis never shied away from the reality of his situation. By 17, he was already infamous in his neighborhood. Curtis was rolling around in a Benz, armed with 2 guns, and living a life that would lead to his eventual arrest. It was during this time that he became fully entrenched in the drug trade, surviving through his hustle and cunning. But his life took a turn in 1994, when he was arrested for selling cocaine to an undercover officer. Despite the legal troubles, Curtis wasn't broken. He spent 6 months in a boot camp, earned his GED, and came out sharper than before, more determined than ever to make it out of the streets alive. The streets of Queens shaped Curtis into a ruthless and relentless figure, and it was this very toughness that would later fuel his rise to stardom. After his breakthrough in music, with the release of his debut album Get Rich or Die Tryin', 50 Cent transcended the role of just another rapper. He became a mogul, with his influence stretching across music, television, film, and even the world of liquor. His career, which began with raw, gritty tales of street life, soon evolved into a sophisticated empire. But despite his success and fame, 50 Cent never lost touch with his street roots. The persona he created in the music world, the fearless, no-nonsense hustler, was grounded in the real-life experiences that defined him. One of the most notable aspects of 50 Cent's persona is his unrelenting approach to beefs. He has a reputation for not backing down from conflicts, no matter how much power or status his opponents hold. His infamous feud with Ja Rule is a prime example of this. What began as a lyrical back and forth quickly escalated into a full-blown personal attack, with 50 Cent taking the battle beyond the music and into the realm of public humiliation. He didn't just stop at dissing Ja Rule in songs, he went on to systematically dismantle Ja's career, rendering him a punchline in hip-hop culture. For 50 Cent, a beef wasn't just about songs or bars, it was about survival. He knew how to exploit every weakness, make his opponent look foolish, and ensure that the feud lasted long enough to leave a lasting impact. The privileged life of King Combs. In stark contrast to 50 Cent's humble, often brutal upbringing, Christian King Combs grew up in a world of privilege. The son of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, King had access to opportunities that most people could only dream of. Born into a family where wealth, fame, and connections were a given, King Combs's life was far removed from the hardships of the streets. While many kids in his generation were dealing with struggles of their own, King was being raised in mansions, chauffeured around in luxury cars, and attended exclusive events. He had access to the best schools, the finest clothes, and everything that came with being the son of one of the most influential figures in the entertainment industry. However, despite the comfortable life he led, King Combs's aspirations in music seemed to push him toward a different narrative. Like many young artists, King wanted to carve out his own identity in the music world. He wasn't content with simply living off his father's legacy. He wanted to build his own career, showing the world that he had the talent to succeed on his own terms. And he does have talent. His rapping and musical skills have garnered attention, and he has carved out a space for himself in the industry. But the question remained, could he handle the pressure of a world that had been shaped by people like 50 Cent, who lived through real struggles and built their careers in a much harsher environment? King's attempt to blend into the hip-hop world took a controversial turn when he released his diss track, aimed at 50 Cent. In his song Pick a Side, King Combs made a direct reference to 50's iconic song, Many Men, rapping about how his father had been hated on by many, but he was still standing strong. King's bold move to go after 50 Cent seemed like a way for him to prove his street credibility and loyalty to his father. But it was also a risky challenge to one of the most ruthless figures in the hip-hop game. What King might not have realized, however, is that 50 Cent is not someone who takes disrespect lightly. His reputation is built on being able to strike back with precision and cruelty, and King Combs had just given him the perfect opportunity to do so. 50 Cent's response: a masterclass in public humiliation. As expected, 50 Cent didn't take King's diss lightly. Known for his trolling and merciless tactics, 50 Cent took to social media to respond. He posted a picture of King and Diddy on stage together, captioning it sarcastically, "I feel so threatened by the things Christian is saying on his record. I'm afraid for my life. Please don't hurt me, guys." This post was just the beginning of a calculated campaign of mockery and humiliation. 50 Cent, ever the strategist, began picking apart King's lyrics, exposing what he saw as holes in King's street credibility. 50 Cent's trolling didn't stop at just mocking the lyrics. He dug deeper, targeting a line in which King Combs said, "Suck his wood," turning the phrase into a joke by bringing up an old rumor involving Diddy and Grace O'Marque. He followed that with another post referencing a part of the track where King implied there was dirt on Diddy's behavior, asking, "Why would you say something like this when you know the feds are investigating? Is you stupid or is you dumb?" 50 Cent's response was a clear message. He wasn't going to let this slide, and King was now a target. For someone like King Combs, who grew up in luxury, Being dragged into this public war with 50 Cent was uncharted territory. His privileged background didn't prepare him for the kind of personal and professional fallout that came with crossing someone like 50 Cent. As 50 continued to drag him through the mud, it became evident that King Combs might not have fully understood the weight of the move he had made. King Combs, an identity crisis. The situation with 50 Cent wasn't the only time King Combs found himself in a precarious position in the hip-hop world. His attempt to align himself with gang culture only deepened the confusion surrounding his persona. A video surfaced of King Combs throwing up gang signs and shouting, "GDK," a reference to the Gangster Disciples, one of the most notorious gangs in Chicago. This was a shocking move, especially considering King's upbringing in wealth and privilege. People were left wondering why a kid with so much to lose would try to associate himself with something so dangerous and far removed from his reality. The backlash was swift. King Combs was immediately called out by real gang members, including King Yella, a legitimate member of the GDK. King Yella couldn't understand why someone like King Combs, who had grown up in luxury, would pretend to be part of gang culture. He publicly criticized King for playing with gang culture, offering him a warning: stay in your lane and don't mess with something you don't understand. Despite King's attempts to clear up the situation, the damage was done. His credibility was now in question, and many saw him as a privileged kid trying to adopt a lifestyle he had no real connection to. King's reaction to the backlash was to deny any affiliation with gangs, stating that he was not a gang member. But the damage was already done. People saw through his attempt to fit in and felt that he was trying to exploit the dangers of gang culture for his own gain. His explanation only served to highlight the stark contrast between his life of privilege and the harsh realities faced by those who genuinely live that life. King Combs had tried to step into a world that wasn't his, and the backlash made it clear that he wasn't prepared for the consequences. The final verdict, King Combs versus, at the end of the day, King Combs's clash with 50 Cent, is a story of two worlds colliding. On one side, you have 50 Cent, a man who survived the streets and built an empire from nothing. On the other, you have King Combs, a talented but naive young man who grew up with everything he could ever want. When you challenge someone like 50 Cent, you're not just entering a rap battle, you're stepping into a game of survival. For King, the consequences of this move may be more than he bargained for. Whether or not he can recover from this remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the streets aren't a game, and King Combs has just learned that the hard way. The dangers of living a life you're not meant for. In his response, Yella, a genuine member of the Gangster Disciples, made a powerful point that carried both a warning and a lesson for King Combs. He didn't just dismiss the idea of gang involvement lightly, but used his own lived experience to offer a deeper reflection on the consequences of pretending to be something you're not. His words, "If you want to be a gangbanger, let me be a billionaire's son." "I'll take that," carried weight, emphasizing the folly of abandoning privilege and wealth for a dangerous lifestyle that has often resulted in heartbreak, violence, and loss. Yella wasn't just calling out King Combs for a reckless mistake. He was highlighting a bigger societal issue: the stark contrast between those who grow up with the security of wealth and those who are born into poverty. For someone like King Combs, who was raised in luxury, comfort, and fame, the allure of gang culture can be seductive but ultimately misguided. In Yella's mind, as someone who had experienced the hardships and pain of street life, it was incomprehensible why anyone would want to take on the risks of gang involvement when they had every advantage at their fingertips. "I don't want to gangbang. I don't want to live like this. I want to get the bag so I can provide for my children," he said. stressing that people in his position, those struggling to survive, are focused on escaping the streets, not glorifying them. It was a reminder that life in gangs is dangerous and often results in tragedy, and it's not something to be glamorized or faked. The message was clear. King Combs should appreciate his privileged life, not squander it on a path he wasn't built for. Yella's perspective wasn't just about the dangers of gang life, but also about the deep societal divide that separates those who come from privilege and those who are born into struggle. His words served as a reminder of the opportunities King Combs had and the harsh realities of the streets that should never be romanticized. The risk of pretending to be part of that world could be far greater than just a beef with a rapper like 50 Cent. It could lead to irreversible consequences that affect his future, safety, and legacy.